Lemmy Kilmister spent 40 years as the loudest voice in rock and roll. But behind the leather jacket and cigarettes was a man who truly hated some of music's biggest names. He called the Rolling Stones Mummy's Boys and banned certain bands from his presence. In 2004, he got into such a heated fight with one famous group that security had to pull them apart. His anger went deeper than music. Came from betrayal from being thrown out at a German border while bandmates watched. The feuds he started would last until his final breath in 2015. Ian Fraser Kilmister was born on Christmas Eve 1945 in the town of Stoke-on-Trent, England. But just 3 months after his birth, his father walked out. He had been a concert pianist and an Air Force chaplain, but to young Ian he was just a ghost. His mother June was left alone to raise him with help from his grandmother. Life felt shaky from the very beginning. When Ian turned 10, his mother married a man named George Willis, a former rugby player. He brought 2 kids from his earlier marriage. Ian never liked them. The family then moved to a quiet farm in Benlec on the Isle of Anglesey in Wales. But this new place didn't bring peace. It only made him feel more like an outsider. He went to a school in Amlo where he was the only English boy among hundreds of Welsh kids. The bullying was relentless. The kids mocked him, pushed him out, and made him feel like he didn't belong. It was around this time he picked up the nickname Lemmy. No one agrees on how it started. Some said it was because he always asked people to Lemmy a quid till Friday to feed his addiction to slot machines. Lemmy himself later admitted he didn't even remember where the name came from, but it stuck, and so did the scars. He was soon expelled. The world had already decided he was a misfit, so he leaned into it. Everything changed in 1963 when he saw the Beatles live at the Cavern Club. He was 16 and watching them up close shook him to his core. He went home and started teaching himself how to play guitar by copying every note from their debut album, Please Me. He said the Beatles weren't soft like people thought. They were tough Liverpool boys who could handle themselves in the streets. He called the Rolling Stones Mummy's Boys by comparison. That concert was the moment he knew what he wanted to do with his life. Around that same age, Lemmy also discovered girls. Teenage holiday makers visiting Anglesey became his first real romantic experiences. One girl from Stockport changed everything for him. After she returned home, he followed her there. He was just 16 and already willing to chase what he wanted, even if it meant leaving his whole life behind. That move wasn't just about love. It was about escaping. It was the start of a pattern. Chasing music, chasing women, and never looking back. But running away didn't mean life got easier. After dropping out of school, Lemmy lived on the edge of homelessness. He worked brutal factory jobs in the 1960s just to survive. One of them was at a Hot Point appliance plant in Conway. He also cleaned horse stables and picked up whatever jobs he could. But he never let go of the dream. He played guitar every free moment he had. That hunger, that grinding poverty gave him the kind of rough edge that connected with working class fans for the rest of his life. In 1964, when he was 19, he finally started performing in bands. He joined 2 small R&B groups, the Rain Makers and the Motone Sect, playing pubs and clubs in northern England. The gigs were dirty, the pay was low, and the crowds were rowdy. Fights were normal. The music never led anywhere. Commercially, none of the bands got signed. Lemmy didn't care. He was learning. He realized most bands fail, but he wasn't going to stop. Then in 1967 he got the job that changed everything. He moved to London and became a roadie for the Jimi Hendrix Experience. For 8 months Lemmy worked closely with Hrix and shared a flat with Noel Reading and the road manager. He set up gear, handled amps, and watched genius up close. He also saw the chaos, the drugs, the pressure, the burnout. He said Hrix made him realize he'd never be that good on guitar. So he started thinking about switching to bass. But before he got there, something nearly killed him. A nurse friend had stolen what she thought was speed from her workplace, and Lemmy took a huge spoonful. But it wasn't speed. It was atropine. And he took 200 times the safe amount. He hallucinated wildly, cuddling a TV and talking to it like it was alive. When he woke up in the hospital, doctors told him he'd barely survived. For weeks he kept seeing things that weren't real. Pages in books that didn't exist. Didn't scare him off drugs, but it did make him more careful. In 1965, Lemmy joined a band called the Rockin' Vickers. They wore crazy costumes on stage and even became the first British band to tour communist Yugoslavia. They recorded 4 singles, including one with the famous producer Shel Talmy, and got some attention in Finland, but none of their songs became big hits in the UK. After 3 years of grinding, the band broke up in 1968. It was Lemmy's first real taste of failure in the music industry, and it wouldn't be his last. There was also a more personal story hidden in these early years. When Lemmy was just 17, he got a girl named Kathy pregnant. Their child Sean was given up for adoption. Lemmy knew about the boy, but never reached out. In later interviews, he dismissed it, saying it wasn't a big deal and that growing up with a single mother was a good enough start in life. But deep down it mirrored his own childhood. A father who left and a boy left wondering. Lemmy never tried to make contact with Sean. That wound remained open. In 1971, everything took another strange turn. Hawind, a psychedelic rock band, asked him to join. Their bassist had vanished before a gig, so Lemmy stepped in, even though he had never played bass before in his life. He had only come to audition as a guitarist, but they didn't want another guitar player. What they did want, oddly enough, was someone who